Welcome everybody to another episode of the Pocho Podcast. This is Albert Campo once again. It's been a little while, but here we are back again, going over this a little meme, a little picture that I was sent that applies to the essence of a pocho. Now, some of it isn't maybe incorrect, but we'll discuss that. I did edit it, as we can see here, for some stuff that I don't get into and that I don't think is necessary. This is some internet meme, so take it with a grain of salt, and we'll discuss all this stuff. So on the left side we have the little Chicano guy, right? And on the right we have a Mexicano, with his sombrero and his little what's that little shirt he's got on, and this Chicano who looks sort of like interesting. So we'll look at let's go through it. On the left side we'll start with the Chicano. He says, has spent his whole life in the U.S. Good description. We can say that's legit. I would also note, though, that the Chicano label, while not technically accurate, can be very easily put to, say, a Mexican kid who was born in Mexico but brought to the United States at a young age, maybe like 8, 6, 5, lower than that, maybe even up to 10 years old, who... Okay, he hasn't spent his whole life, but the significant part of his life in the U.S., this Chicano meme can still apply. So let's not take this too accurate and too, fully on it what it's saying as far as whole life in the U.S. This could apply to a young Mexican-born kid brought over to the United States at a young age, burns easily. Okay, that may or may not be accurate. I think that's a burn in the literal in the insulting sense of a guy who's sort of light-skinned and sensitive to the sun. Blind Mexican nationalist. Now that's something that I find quite accurate, quite interesting. A lot of Mexican Americans, a lot of Chicanos find that pride and love of Mexico, and how dare anyone say anything negative about Mexico, even though it's totally obvious, like something, la mordida, the police taking advantage of people. No, how dare you? You don't ever say anything, blind Mexican nationalist. That's pretty true. We'll go to college and get a good job thanks to mommy and papi's hard work. That's very true. A lot of people, Chicanos, do very well for themselves, even from humble beginnings, and generations after that will do even better. There's always a progression, and some people think, oh no, Chicanos are always held down, or minorities are always down. I've seen cases where that's not the case, cases where Mexican Americans growing up are very successful business owners in whatever jobs that they have. Can't even drive, I don't know what that is. Watches anime. I'm not familiar with that. Learns 3 Spanish words a month to impress abuelito over Skype. You imagine that? Like, I don't know anything about that, but it could be true. Proud Chicano, proud Mexican American. Doesn't know Spanish, but like takes Duolingo little courses on his app to try to impress the family members, the tios who maybe rag on him for being the Chicano. Thinks burritos are actually Mexican. That's if you want to get technical, and I had a homie call that to attention, that burritos might actually be, they are actually Mexican. They came out of northern Mexico, but typically you think of tacos being Mexican. Burritos is sort of like this Tex-Mex type of thing that Chipotle invents, or that you see in American companies. Self-segregates and only hangs out with other Chicanos. That goes back to the proud, blind Mexican nationalist, wants all his friends to be Mexican, hangs out with the Mexicans and crowd. I've seen this in other races, like in amongst Asians, where they find that love and that pride for their country of origin, of their descendants, and then they tend to flock around themselves to segregate themselves amongst things that people that are of like mind, of like culture, and have the same ideals. So that's that. So the Chicano. A lot of that is just funny, hilarious, and you might find yourself in that category out over there, all you listeners. So don't be offended. The truth, the reality should not offend. Now that the Mexicano, let's look at him. Born and raised in Mexico, molded to the conditions, molded like like Batman. The dark molded him. So molded by the conditions. We go here. Has worked in the sun since he was 3. Knows Mexico isn't perfect, but is proud of his culture. Now that's a legit thing. A lot of Mexicans in Mexico will complain about the mordida, will complain about the corrupt government, will complain about narcos, will complain about all kinds of things in Mexico. And even look up to other countries, look up to the United States in certain aspects. So the realization, but also the pride of, yes, I live in Mexico and I'm doing my best in this situation. And, it is what it is. Works hard, blue-collar jobs to support his entire extended family. The idea of taking care of the abuelitos, of the people that are in need, and working hard, whether it be in the as a mechanic or whatever blue-collar job is out there. Now, this is not always the case also. In Mexico, many of them do aspire and grow to white-collar jobs, get educations and get advanced careers, can fix every car known to man. This is going to the machoism. Waste no time on entertainment, could be working instead. Again, machoism, and staying away from like sitting on the computer, messing around with memes, and the millennial type of thing, the soft, burns easily, doing weak things, but using the muscles, using the physical attributes. Knows every word of the Spanish language. Of course, a Mexican's going to know every word. Can only be sustained by authentic Mexican food. Now, the Chicano might have I think of Shea in San Antonio. Like, the Mexicans are perfect with the Tex-Mex. Like, that's, lack of authenticity. Now, this guy is not in that aspect, but the authentic Mexican food is the only thing. And, actually, that's only found in Mexico. Some might argue. I would argue. Proud conservative, strong Christian values, or Catholic values. So the Catholicism is strong. The values of misa, the values of which is not sort of fading, I would say, as well in Mexico, but it's there. Like, if you're gonna get married, you gotta get married in the church, or la quinceañera. You gotta go misa for la quinceañera. A friendly tall. We know the friendly, happy, alegre Mexican who's friendly to all. So I thought this was quite interesting. A few things come to mind when looking at the Chicano and looking at amongst the social media, El Tri English and Liga MX English community. I don't want to name names. You know who you are. And you Mexicanos also know who you are. But I also include a Mexicano born young, as I mentioned. Going to the United States might tend to be the Chicano instance in this case, or identify and or see attributes of this Chicano guy on the left. So, food for thought. Chicano, Mexicano. It's all good, man. Whatever you want to be, whatever you are, go out and do your thing. Thanks for listening. Stay tuned for the next episode. We'll see you guys later.